Chapter 10, I Become Neglected and Am Provided for, by Charles Dickens. The first act of business Miss Murdstone performed when the day of the solemnity was over, and light was freely admitted into the house, was to give Peggotty a month's warning. Much as Peggotty would have disliked such a service, I believe she would have retained it, for my sake, in preference to the best upon earth. She told me we must part, and told me why, and we condoled with one another in all sincerity. As to me or my future, not a word was said, or step taken. Happy they would have been, I dare say, if they could have dismissed me at a month's warning too. I mustered courage once to ask Miss Murdstone when I was going back to school, and she answered dryly she believed I was not going back at all. I was told nothing more. I was very anxious to know what was going to be done with me, and so was Peggotty, but neither she nor I could pick up any information on the subject. There was one change in my condition, which, while it relieved me of a great deal of present uneasiness, might have made me, if I had been capable of considering it closely, yet more uncomfortable about the future. It was this: the constraint that had been put upon me was quite abandoned. I was so far from being required to keep my dull post in the parlor that on several occasions, when I took my seat there, Miss Murdstone frowned to me to go away. I was so far from being warned off from Peggotty's society that, provided I was not in Mr. Murdstone's, I was never sought out or inquired for. At first, I was in daily dread of his taking my education in hand again, or of Miss Murdstone's devoting herself to it. But I soon began to think that such fears were groundless, and that all I had to anticipate was neglect. I do not conceive that this discovery gave me much pain then. I was still giddy with the shock of my mother's death, and in a kind of stunned state as to all tributary things. I can recollect, indeed, to have speculated, at odd times, on the possibility of my not being taught any more or cared for any more, and growing up to be a shabby, moody man, lounging an idle life away about the village, as well as on the feasibility of my getting rid of this picture by going away somewhere, like the hero in a story, to seek my fortune. But these were transient visions, daydreams I sat looking at sometimes, as if they were faintly painted or written on the wall of my room, and which, as they melted away, left the wall blank again. "Peggotty," I said in a thoughtful whisper one evening when I was warming my hands at the kitchen fire, "Mr. Murdstone likes me less than he used to. He never liked me much, Peggotty, but he would rather not even see me now if he can help it." "Perhaps it's his sorrow," said Peggotty, stroking my hair. "I am sure, Peggotty, I am sorry too. If I believed it was his sorrow, I should not think of it at all. But it's not that. Oh no, it's not that." "How do you know it's not that?" said Peggotty after a silence. "Oh, his sorrow is another and quite a different thing. He is sorry at this moment, sitting by the fireside with Miss Murdstone, but if I was to go in, Peggotty, he would be something besides." "What would he be?" said Peggotty. "Angry," I answered, with an involuntary imitation of his dark frown. "If he was only sorry, he wouldn't look at me as he does. I am only sorry, and it makes me feel kinder." Peggotty said nothing for a little while, and I warmed my hands, as silent as she. "Davy," she said at length. "Yes, Peggotty." "I have tried, my dear, all ways I could think of, all the ways there are, and all the ways there ain't, in short, to get a suitable service here in Blunderstone, but there's no such a thing, my love." "And what do you mean to do, Peggotty?" says I wistfully. "Do you mean to go and seek your fortune?" "I expect I shall be forced to go to Yarmouth," replied Peggotty, "and live there." "You might have gone farther off," I said, brightening a little, "and been as bad as lost. I shall see you sometimes, my dear old Peggotty, there. You won't be quite at the other end of the world, will you?" "Contrary ways, please God," cried Peggotty with great animation. "As long as you are here, my pet, I shall come over every week of my life to see you. One day, every week of my life." I felt a great weight taken off my mind by this promise, but even this was not all, for Peggotty went on to say, "I'm a-going, Davy, you see, to my brother S. first for another fortnight's visit, just till I have had time to look about me and get to be something like myself again. Now I have been thinking that perhaps, as they don't want you here at present, you might be let to go along with me. If anything, short of being in a different relation to everyone about me, Peggotty excepted, could have given me a sense of pleasure at that time, it would have been this project of all others. The idea of being again surrounded by those honest faces, shining welcome on me, of renewing the peacefulness of the sweet Sunday morning when the bells were ringing, the stones dropping in the water, and the shadowy ships breaking through the mist, of roaming up and down with little Emily, telling her my troubles, and finding charms against them in the shells and pebbles on the beach, made a calm in my heart. It was ruffled next moment, to be sure, by a doubt of Miss Murdstone's giving her consent, but even that was set at rest soon, for she came out to take an evening grope in the store-closet while we were yet in conversation, and Peggotty, with a boldness that amazed me, broached the topic on the spot. "The boy will be idle there," said Miss Murdstone, looking into a pickle jar, "and idleness is the root of all evil. But to be sure, he would be idle here or anywhere, in my opinion." Peggotty had an angry answer ready, I could see, but she swallowed it for my sake and remained silent. "Humph," said Miss Murdstone, still keeping her eye on the pickles. "It is of more importance than anything else. It is of paramount importance that my brother should not be disturbed or made uncomfortable. I suppose I had better say yes."